Welcome back to Retro Football Club, where football nostalgia lives on and geography lessons come with a side of silverware. Today we're taking on a proper challenge, naming the most successful football club from every ceremonial county in England. Yep, all 48 of them. Now if you're watching from the US or abroad, think of counties like mini-states, just with fewer cowboy hats and more wet Tuesday nights in February. We're using modern ceremonial counties, not the old historic ones your granddad might remember, and definitely not the baffling admin zones that sound like they were made up in a boardroom. So yes, we're counting places like Cumbria and North Yorkshire, but no mention of Westmoreland or Humberside, alright? Also, just to get ahead of the angry comments, we're putting clubs in the counties they're in now. So no, Stockport County isn't in Cheshire anymore, they're in Greater Manchester. So don't shoot the messenger, blame the boundary lines. As for how we're judging success, we're going by the big stuff, so that's top flight league titles, FA Cups, League Cups and European trophies. No Texaco trophies, Audi Cups or Best Programme Design Awards here. Just proper competitive silverware. If no club from a county has won anything major, we'll go with whoever's had the highest league finish or the most league titles in the pyramid. Basically, we're crowning local legends, not just the glory hunters. So whether your team's mixing it with the Premier League elite or still drying their socks behind the clubhouse bar, this is their chance to shine. Let's dive in and find out which club truly puts their little patch of England on the footballing map. This one's a walkover. Luton Town are by far the most successful club in Bedfordshire. Their nearest rivals, Bedford Town, have spent their lives in non-league, while Luton have been busy lifting silverware and rubbing shoulders with the top tier. The Hatters' biggest achievement came in 1988 when they beat Arsenal 3-2 to win the League Cup, their only major trophy to date. They were FA Cup runners-up in 1959, reached the Football League trophy final twice, and have 5 league titles across the Football League. After plummeting all the way into non-league in 2009, they clawed their way back, winning the Conference Premier in 2014, climbing the divisions and reaching the Premier League in 2023 for the first time in the modern era. No debate in Berkshire, the county belongs to Reading. Founded in 1871, they're one of the oldest clubs in England and easily the most successful side from the Royal County. Their biggest league achievement came in the 2005-2006 season when they stormed the championship with a record 106 points, earning their first ever promotion to the Premier League, where they've had 3 top flight seasons in total. They've collected multiple lower league titles as well, including another at championship level, 3 at League 1 and 1 at League 2. Reading also reached the FA Cup semi-finals twice, and they won the full Members' Cup in 1988, an often forgotten but still glittering footnote in club history. Their nearest competition? Probably non-league side Maidenhead United, who are proud National League mainstays and also one of the original 15 clubs in the first ever FA Cup. When it comes to the city of Bristol, the bragging rights just go to Bristol City. Founded in 1894, the Robins reached their peak in 1907, finishing runners-up in the old First Division. They've lifted a number of lower league titles as well, including 1 at championship level and 4 at what is now League 1 level. Cup-wise, they won the Football League trophy 3 times, making them the record holders for that particular silverware and have lifted the now defunct Anglo-Scottish Cup. Their cross-city rivals Bristol Rovers boast their own proud history, but they can't quite match City's overall honours and bigger days in the sun. When it comes to footballing success in Buckinghamshire, it's a straight shootout between MK Dons and Wycombe Wanderers. And while the debate might get a bit heated, we're going with MK Dons. Yes, they're a modern invention formed in 2004 following Wimbledon's relocation, but in that time they've managed to make a tangible mark. They won the League 2 title and the Football League trophy in 2008 and even reached the championship, finishing 11th in 2015, the highest ever league finish by any club from the county. Wycombe, on the other hand, are the traditionalists' pick. Founded in 1887, they've had memorable promotions, most notably winning the conference in 1993 and reaching the championship via the playoffs in 2020. In fact, they've won promotion 4 times, but never as league champions in the Football League, something MK Dons can claim. It is fair to say that Wickham do boast a total of 8 Isthmian League titles from their days in the depth of non-league. So while Wickham have the history, heart and some heroic moments, if we're going by trophies and peak league performance, MK Dons just edge it, although this is a debatable one. Cambridgeshire is one of those counties where the debate is closer than you might think. On one side, you've got Peterborough United, who have a pair of League Two titles and 3 EFL trophy wins, including back-to-back triumphs in 2024 and 2025. On the other, Cambridge United can boast a League One and League Two title and an FA trophy. It's fair to say Peterborough's record in the EFL and their slightly greater haul of silverware just about tips it in their favour, but Cambridge can boast the highest league title of the pair, although Peterborough have been promoted themselves from that division on 4 occasions, just never as champions. This is one of those counties where footballing glory is, well, in short supply. Cheshire doesn't exactly boast a rich history of silverware, and no club from the county has ever won a Football League title. And yes, before anyone points it out, Stockport County were historically part of Cheshire, but under current ceremonial boundaries, they now fall under Greater Manchester, so they're not in the running here. So let's not shout, let's not make a fuss, stick it into Google if you don't believe me, Scouts honour and all that. But if we're handing out the honours, the nod goes to Crewe Alexandra. They've spent more seasons in the higher reaches of the Football League than their local rivals. They famously had a long spell in the second tier under Dario Gradi, and they did at least lift some silverware, winning the Football League trophy, now the EFL trophy in 2013. Crewe have also earned numerous promotions, just none as champions. Down the road, the Phoenix clubs of Chester and Macclesfield and their predecessor clubs have had their moments, but in terms of overall league performance, longevity, Crewe edge it. Now this one's a quick one. The City of London, not to be confused with Greater London, is the historic square mile financial district at the very heart of the capital. Despite being home to power, money and a few very fancy wine bars, it doesn't actually have a professional football club to its name. While Greater London is packed with giants like Chelsea, Arsenal and Spurs, the City of London itself is clubless when it comes to honours, stadiums or even a dodgy lower league team to claim. So, by default, no winners here. Football in Cornwall is, well, semi-professional at its peak. That being said, the most successful club are Truro City. In 2025, they were promoted as champions of the National League South, becoming the first Cornish side ever to reach the 5th tier of English football. Even more poignantly, the 2025-26 season also marks their long-awaited return to playing back in Truro following several years in exile ground sharing outside the county. Their honours include that memorable FA Vase win at Wembley in 2007, as well as league titles at multiple levels, including the Western League, Southern League and Southern Premier Division. As for the runners-up, Falmouth Town are probably the next best historically, but no one from Cornwall has gone further or lifted more silverware than Truro City. Moving on to County Durham, the honours go to Darlington, and maybe it's not as close as you would imagine. The Quakers have won 2 Football League titles at what is now League One and League Two levels, giving them a respectable historical edge. They also lifted the FA Trophy in 2011, though financial collapse saw the club reformed in the depths of non-league, and so far they've only peaked at National League North in their attempts to make it back to the professional game. Neighbours Hartlepool United, although having more consistent EFL pedigree, have never actually won a Football League title, nor have they ever won a minor professional domestic trophy. Their only accomplishments are a collection of promotions and the odd playoff win. Cumbria's top dogs, that'll be Carlisle United. Nestled up in the far northwest of England, Carlisle are by far the most decorated side in a county that doesn't exactly have a long queue of footballing heavyweights. Carlisle have 3 Football League titles to boot, one at what is now League One level and a couple at League Two. They also reached the final of the Football League trophy 6 times, winning it twice. And believe it or not, for a single glorious week in 1974, they sat top of the First Division, making them briefly the best team in the country. Next most notable, Barrow AFC, who returned to the EFL in 2020 after a long non-league exile and are steadily rebuilding. But with no professional league titles, Carlisle take the county crown. When it comes to Derbyshire, there's only one team in the conversation: Derby County. The Rams are not just the most successful club in the county, they're one of English football's oldest and most storied sides. Among a host of other league titles, County have won the old First Division title twice. That's the precursor to the Premier League, to all you young folk. They've also lifted the FA Cup once, way back in 1946, and were European Cup semi-finalists in 1973, and again, for you Bambinos, that's what they used to call the UEFA Champions League. As for local rivals Chesterfield, they are a respectable lower league side with more titles than a lot of other counties' bigwigs in this video, but sadly, it will take a lot to become top dogs in their own county. While the county may not be dripping in major silverware, Plymouth Argyle stand tall in Devon. Argyle have won what is now League One 5 times. In fact, they've been promoted from the division a staggering 13 times. Local rivals Exeter City and Torquay United have had their moments, but in terms of honours and league finishes, they can't hold a candle to the Pilgrims. Dorset also isn't exactly a footballing hotbed, but AFC Bournemouth have truly punched above their weight in recent years, and they're by far the most successful club the county has produced. Their honours include 2 titles, the Championship in 2015 and what is now League One back in 1987. The Cherries are also arguably the smallest Premier League team of all time, and the fact they seem to have played top-flight football so consistently in recent years is a massive achievement. Their nearest rivals in Dorset, that be Weymouth or Pooltown, both are decent, respectable, mid-sized non-league outfits, but evidently neither are in the picture. There's only one realistic contender here: Hull City. The Tigers are the only professional league club from the East Riding and boast a respectable honours list by comparison. They have 4 league titles, all at League One level. They've also spent time in the Premier League and even reached the FA Cup final in 2014, narrowly lost to Arsenal. The next prominent sides in the county are arguably non-league sides North Ferriby and Goole AFC. Brighton and Hove Albion are not just the most successful club from East Sussex, they're the only professional club from the county. Their rise in the modern era has been spectacular. After hovering around the lower divisions for much of their history, and even dropping to the 4th tier in the late 1990s, Brighton climbed the pyramid to reach the Premier League in 2017. Since then, they've not only established themselves as a top-flight side, but also qualified for European competition for the first time in 2024. Historically, they actually won what is now the Community Shield back in 1910, but in terms of titles, they have 5 in their bag, 3 in what is now League One and several at League Two level. As for competition, well, we can't exactly call it that. However, non-league clubs Eastbourne Borough and Lewes FC represent the next 2 most prominent sides in the county. Essex might be known for its coastline and nightlife, but when it comes to football, it's a 2-horse race between Southend United and Colchester United. And while it's close, the bragging rights go to Southend. It's incredibly close though. Southend have won a title each at both League One and League Two levels, whereas Colchester have been runners-up in both. Colchester also have a title in what is now the National League, as well as the 1997 EFL Trophy. In the ceremonial county of Gloucestershire, the top honour goes to Cheltenham Town. While their trophy cabinet isn't exactly bursting at the seams, they outdo local rivals Forest Green Rovers, only just though it's fair to say. A few years ago this would have been a foregone conclusion, with Town's League Two title, a pair of National League titles and an FA trophy, but their hipster, fun-loving vegan neighbours have enjoyed a strong past decade, boasting a League Two title and a pair of FA trophies for themselves. Now this one's a real heavyweight battle. Greater London is stacked with clubs, from Tottenham and West Ham to Crystal Palace, Fulham and beyond. But when it comes to the title of most successful team in Greater London, two giants stand above the rest. Arsenal and Chelsea. Let's start with Arsenal. Steeped in tradition and history, the Gunners boast an incredible 13 top-flight league titles, including the legendary Invincibles season of 2003-2004. They hold the record for the most FA Cup wins with 14, and for decades they were London's footballing benchmark. Their dominance under Herbert Chapman, George Graham, and of course Arsene Wenger gave them an aura of class and consistency. But then along came Chelsea. Once a cup team with flair but few titles, everything changed in 2003 when Roman Abramovich took over. Since then, Chelsea have added 6 Premier League titles, 8 FA Cups, 5 League Cups, 2 Champions Leagues, 2 Europa Leagues, a UEFA Super Cup, a UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, and even a pair of FIFA Club World Cups. That European pedigree in particular is something Arsenal simply don't have. It's fair to say, though, contrary to popular belief, Arsenal do have a pair of European trophies. They have a UEFA Cup Winners' Cup and an Intercity Fairs Cup, which was the precursor to the UEFA Cup or modern-day Europa League. Critics do say this was an invitational cup, but if you check the format, then you'll see league position in the previous year counted as entry in the year they won it, which validates the win. So, where do you stand? Is it Arsenal's tradition and longevity, or Chelsea's modern era of dominance and global trophies? We'll let you decide, though if you ask us, purely on honours alone, it's hard to argue against Chelsea. Greater Manchester is home to plenty of proud clubs. Bolton Wanderers, Oldham Athletic and Wigan Athletic to name but a few. But towering above them all are the two clubs that have shaped the city's footballing identity, Manchester United and Manchester City. Now let's be honest, in terms of sheer success, Manchester United are still out in front. With 20 top-flight league titles, 12 FA Cups, 6 League Cups, 3 Champions Leagues, Europa League, a Cup Winners' Cup, a FIFA Club World Cup and more, their trophy cabinet is bursting. The Sir Alex Ferguson era alone cemented their legacy as one of the greatest clubs in the world. But here's where it gets interesting. Manchester City are closing that gap fast. Since their rise under Sheikh Mansour, City have racked up 24 trophies in that period, including an historic treble in 2022-23 and a first Champions League title. And popular to common belief, historically they were no slouches either. They still had 3 top-flight titles, 4 FA Cups, a pair of League Cups and a UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, a bigger trophy haul than fans of most clubs who were saying they had no history. So yes, Manchester United are still the most successful club in Greater Manchester, no arguments there. But give it a decade or so of more seasons of silverware from City and we may have to revisit this one. When it comes to major silverware, Portsmouth are actually the most successful club in Hampshire, not Southampton. Founded in 1898, Pompey have won 2 top-flight titles, 2 FA Cups as well as a number of other Football League titles, notably 1 at Championship level, 4 at League 1 and 1 at League 2, as well as a Community Shield and an EFL trophy. Strictly speaking, Southampton may be arguably regarded as the bigger club these days, but in comparison they can only boast an FA Cup, an EFL trophy and 2 titles at what is now League 1, so evidently despite modern times, Hampshire is undoubtedly blue in the trophy department. Herefordshire is, well, a county with very slim pickings, and that's being polite. They used to have 1 professional club in the way of Hereford United. However, the team went out of business in 2014. Phoenix club Hereford FC immediately emerged out of the ashes but have yet to reach the Football League. Regardless, as a continuation of United and treating them as the same club, then it's fair to say their success peaked in 1976 when they won what is now League 2. For any competition, and you really can't count it as that, then you need to look way down the non-league structure to perhaps Hereford Pegasus. Hertfordshire's standout club is undoubtedly Watford. Although they are not as successful as you may think, despite prolonged periods in England's top 2 divisions, they only actually boast 3 league titles, 2 at what is now League 1 and another at League 2. They are also 2-time FA Cup runners-up. The next most successful would be Stevenage, who despite historically being a non-league club, currently play their football in League One, but regardless, their trophy haul has peaked at a pair of National League titles. This one's a little different. The Isle of Wight's most prominent side is Newport IOWFC, who play in the Wessex League First Division, which is the 10th tier of competitive English football. So for all you hypothetical football dreamers, that's a decade of continuous promotions before they welcome Premier League fixtures to the island. They've had their moments in non-league football. Their highest peak has been winning the Southern League East Division in 2001, and they've even made the FA Cup first round proper a couple of times, but we're firmly in grassroots territory here. I know we said that we are sticking to proper silverware, and maybe I'm harsh in saying it's not a proper cup, but it's worth saying they are 43-time winners of the Isle of Wight Senior Cup. When it comes to the Garden of England, Kent's footballing crown firmly belongs to Gillingham. The Gills are the only Kent-based team to have played in the Football League, and they've been flying the flag for the county for decades. They've got a pair of league titles in what is now League Two, and although not a massive haul, it's still a step up from other local sides. Clubs such as Ebbsfleet United, Dover Athletic and Maidstone United have had their moments in non-league, but the Gills remain the undisputed heavyweight of Kent football. Now this one's anything but straightforward. Lancashire is bursting with historic football clubs, Burnley, Preston North End and Blackpool, all with proud traditions and loyal fan bases. But when it comes to major honours, Blackburn Rovers just about edge it. Rovers were a powerhouse in the early days of English football, winning 6 FA Cups before the Second World War. They've also lifted the League Cup in more recent times, and of course their crowning glory, the unforgettable Premier League title in 1995, powered by Jack Walker's investments and Alan Shearer's goals, that added to a previous 2 top-flight league titles, not to mention another at Championship level and another at what is now League One, as well as a Charity Shield way back in 1912. Burnley can point to 2 top-flight league titles and an FA Cup, while Preston famously won the very first Football League. So while it's a tight call and there's no shortage of history across the county, we're giving the nod to Blackburn Rovers. There's only one contender here, and that's Leicester City, a club whose story would be laughed out of Hollywood scriptwriter's office if it wasn't all true. In 2016, Leicester shocked the world by winning the Premier League as 5,000-1 outsiders, one of the greatest underdog stories in sporting history. They followed that up with an FA Cup triumph in 2021 and a Community Shield to boot, solidifying their place at English football's top table. Leicester can also boast an impressive record 8 titles at Championship level and 1 at League One level. They are also 3-time League Cup winners. In contrast, all other football clubs from the county such as Hinckley, Barwell or Colville United play in the depths of non-league. When it comes to Lincolnshire, the crown of the county's most successful football club lands with Grimsby Town. But it's far from a landslide. In fact, the debate usually boils down to 2 clubs, Grimsby and Lincoln City, with Scunthorpe United having briefly threatened to enter the conversation during their stronger years. Starting with Grimsby, the Mariners have won 6 Football League titles, 1 at Championship level, 3 at League One level, and 1 in what we now call League Two. They've also got 2 EFL trophies to their name, one of those coming in the early days when it was known as the Football League Group Cup. Lincoln, by comparison, have 5 league titles, 3 at League One level and 1 at League Two, and they've also lifted the EFL trophy once. Where the Imps do edge it is in non-league success, having claimed multiple National League titles, while Grimsby had to take the play-off route back up. That said, Grimsby have twice been FA Trophy runners-up, which keeps the honours pretty tight. But here's the kicker. While Lincoln fans rightly shout about their brilliant FA Cup quarter-final run in 2017, Grimsby not only matched that in 2023, they actually reached the semi-finals twice back in the 1930s. Add in the fact that Grimsby have spent most of their history in the 2nd tier, while Lincoln have spent the bulk of theirs in the 4th, and it's hard to argue against the Mariners. So while it's a close-run thing, and fair play to Lincoln for pushing them, the black and white of Grimsby Town just about edge it for Lincolnshire's footballing bragging rights. Next up is Merseyside, and let's be honest, it's not close even with Everton's impressive history. This is Liverpool's county, and Liverpool Football Club absolutely dominate the honours list, not just in Merseyside but across world football as one of the world's most successful sides. With 20 top-flight league titles, 6 Champions Leagues, 3 UEFA Cups, 4 UEFA Super Cups, 8 FA Cups, 9 League Cups and a FIFA Club World Cup, their trophy cabinet is so full it might actually need planning permission. Everton, of course, are no minnows, far from it. The Toffees have won 9 top-flight league titles, 5 FA Cups and a European Cup Winners' Cup, making them one of the most decorated clubs in English history too. But in modern terms, they've been playing catch-up for decades. So while both clubs have rich histories and massive followings, it's Liverpool that fly the flag for Merseyside in terms of silverware, and with Jurgen Klopp and Arne Slot having added even more glint to the cabinet in recent years, there's been little debate as to who holds the crown in this corner of England. When it comes to Norfolk, there's really only one contender, and that's Norwich City. The Canaries are comfortably the most successful club in the county and one of the most recognisable names outside the traditional top 6 in English football. Norwich have won the Championship title 5 times, and they also lifted the League Cup twice. Add to that several League One and you've got a club with some silverware in the cabinet. Their local rivals, Kings Lynn Town, are a decent non-league side who've had some success, albeit some turbulent times, but they're light years away from Norwich in terms of overall success. When it comes to North Yorkshire, there's one club that stands tallest, Middlesbrough. Now we know this might confuse a few viewers because technically Middlesbrough sits just inside North Yorkshire geographically, though it's a unitary authority. Outsiders often mistaken it for Durham or Tyne and Wear, but Middlesbrough's boundary firmly sits on the top edge of what they like to call God's own county. Borough's trophy haul consists of 4 league titles, all at championship level. They've also won a League Cup and have been runners-up in both the FA Cup and UEFA Cup. Compared to the other North Yorkshire clubs, think York City, Harrogate Town and Scarborough, it's no contest, with York being the next most successful of the other sides. When it comes to Northamptonshire, the honour of most successful club goes to Northampton Town, and truth be told, it's not one of the county's closer debates. The Cobblers have 1 League One title, 2 League Two titles, and a long history in the Football League, as well as being 1909 Community Shield runners-up. Their nearest challengers, Kettering Town, have had plenty of non-league success but never reached the heights Northampton have in the professional game. Now this one's an unusual one. Northumberland isn't exactly teeming with EFL or Premier League pedigree. In fact, the debate usually boils down to Blyth Spartans and Berwick Rangers. Berwick Rangers, famously based in England but competing in the Scottish League system, had their finest hour in 1967 when they knocked Rangers out of the Scottish Cup, still one of the biggest shocks in that competition's history. But trophy-wise, they are previous winners of what is now Scottish League One and a further title in League Two. Blyth Spartans, meanwhile, are steeped in non-league tradition. They've won the Northern Premier League, numerous county cups and reached the 5th round of the FA Cup in 1978. For us, Berwick edge it solely for being the only club to once play professionally, despite arguably the standard of football probably being on the same page. In Nottinghamshire, there's really no contest. Nottingham Forest take the crown by a mile. Under the legendary Brian Clough, they pulled off one of football's greatest stories, winning back-to-back European Cups in 1979 and 1980. To add to that, Forest's overall trophy haul includes a single top-flight title, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, a UEFA Super Cup, 2 full Members' Cups, an Anglo-Scottish Cup, a Community Shield, as well as 3 titles at what is now Championship level and another in what is now League One. Their nearest rivals, Notts County, may be one of the oldest professional clubs in the world, and whilst their silverware is still commendable, a single FA Cup in 1894, 8 lower league titles and an Anglo-Italian Cup, it's no match for their cross-city rivals. Forest's recent Premier League return has kept them in the spotlight, and unless County go on a fairy tale run for the ages, Nottinghamshire will remain unmistakably red and forever with a cloth-shaped shadow hanging proudly over it. Oxfordshire might not have dozens of clubs battling it out for supremacy, but the crown clearly belongs to Oxford United. The U's enjoyed their golden era in the 1980s, famously winning the League Cup in 1986, still their only major trophy, and reaching the top flight of English football. They've also chalked up 3 league titles, 1 at Championship level and 2 at League One. Oxford have bounced between divisions in recent years but remain a stable Football League club. For anyone wondering, Oxford City have made headlines with their recent rise to the National League, but they're still some way off matching the U's honours and status. So for Oxfordshire, there's really no debate. Oxford United take the crown. Rutland is the smallest county in England if you aren't counting the district of the City of London, and Rutland is even more sparse for football clubs than the Isle of Wight. The most prominent team is probably Oakham United, who currently play in the Peterborough and District League, the 11th tier of English football. Honours include the 2015 Peterborough District title and the Peterborough Senior Cup in 2024. And this one's a straightforward call. The most successful club from Shropshire is undoubtedly Shrewsbury Town. Founded in 1886, the Shrews have spent the majority of their existence bouncing around the 3rd and 4th tiers of English football, but with some notable achievements to their name. Shrewsbury have won 2 league titles, 1 each at League One and League Two levels. They are also 2-time EFL trophy runners-up. Their nearest rivals in the county, AFC Telford United, have had a respectable non-league history but have never played in the Football League, making Shrewsbury's dominance of the county scene pretty much unchallenged. Next up is Somerset, and while this isn't the most competitive of counties when it comes to major footballing honours, there's still a clear standout. Yeovil Town. Yeovil made headlines when they rose from non-league football to reach the Championship, the 2nd tier, for the first time in their history in 2013, then amazingly were relegated all the way back down to the National League South. Along the way, they won the League Two title, another at what is now the National League, and an FA trophy. The likes of Bath City, Taunton Town and Weston-super-Mare are notable non-league names in the region, but none have reached the heights Yeovil managed during that incredible rise. Now we come to South Yorkshire, and there's actually some stiff competition here with Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United, Barnsley and Rotherham United all having strong fan bases and proud histories. But in terms of major honours, the most successful club is Sheffield Wednesday. The Owls have 4 top-flight league titles, 3 FA Cups, a League Cup, 5 titles at what is now the Championship, as well as a Community Shield, giving them a clear edge over the rest. Sheffield United, although in fairness a similar club in terms of stature and who have had more recent dominance, by contrast can only boast a league title each from the top 4 tiers of English football. Barnsley famously won the FA Cup in 1912 and reached the Premier League in 1997, while Rotherham have mostly been strong at lower league level, picking up a few League One titles and EFL trophies. So while the Steel City rivalry remains fierce, in terms of silverware and stature, it's Wednesday who take the South Yorkshire title. When it comes to Staffordshire, we're heading to the Potteries, because the honour of the county's most successful club has to go to Stoke City. Sure, Port Vale fans might be tempted to jump in here, and credit where it's due, they've had their moments. But in terms of sheer honours, size and status, it's Stoke every time. Stoke City, one of the oldest professional football clubs in the world, founded way back in 1863, famously lifted the League Cup in 1972, their one major trophy to date. They can also boast 2 titles at what is now Championship level and 2 at League One. They were also FA Cup runners-up in 2011 and have won the EFL trophy twice. So while Port Vale have a few lower league titles and a pair of EFL trophies themselves, it's Stoke City that take the Staffordshire crown. and in terms of bragging rights across the potteries, that settles it. When it comes to Suffolk, there's no debate. Ipswich Town stand tall as the county's footballing giant. And not just locally either. They're one of the most historically decorated clubs outside the traditional big teams in England. Their roll of honour includes one top-flight title, won in 1962 under Sir Alf Ramsey, the very same man who led England to World Cup glory 4 years later. They've also won an FA Cup, a UEFA Cup, 3 titles at Championship level, and 2 at League One level. Next best? Probably Lowestoft Town, who have had spells in the upper reaches of non-league football, but let's be honest, this is Ipswich Town's county through and through. When it comes to Surrey, things get a little trickier. This is one of those ceremonial counties without a long-standing football league presence. In fact, most of the big-name clubs people associate with the area, like Crystal Palace or Wimbledon, which were part of Surrey back in the day, but in modern times fall under Greater London. So for Surrey proper, the honour goes to Woking. A strong non-league side with a rich FA trophy history, Woking have won that competition 3 times and are a regular presence in the National League and have won 2 titles at National League South level. You could also give a respectful nod to Dorking Wanderers, a modern football fairy tale rising rapidly through the divisions in recent years. But in terms of historical stature and silverware, the county's footballing pedigree isn't as glittering as some of its neighbours. Now this one might spark some heated pub arguments, or at the very least some pelters in the comments, because Tyne and Wear is home to 2 giants of English football, Newcastle United and Sunderland. And depending on which side of the Tyne you're on, your answer might vary wildly. Newcastle have lifted 4 top-flight league titles. They've also played in 13 FA Cup finals, winning 6 and losing 7. They've also added the 2025 League Cup, a Community Shield, an Intercity Fairs Cup, which again is the precursor to the UEFA Cup. They've also won the UEFA Intertoto Cup, the Anglo-Italian Cup and 4 league titles at Championship level. But don't dismiss Sunderland too quickly. The Black Cats have 6 top-flight league titles of their own, most of which came in their early golden era, and 2 FA Cups, 1 Community Shield, 5 Championship titles, 1 at League One level and an EFL trophy. So who takes it? Newcastle's top-tier consistency, global profile and more recent highs, it may probably just tip the scales. But you could argue Sunderland's major honours make this a 50-50 shout. We're giving it to Newcastle, but if you're a Mackem, we're ready for the comments. With Coventry City now firmly in the West Midlands, Nuneaton Borough take the spot as the most successful club in Warwickshire under current boundaries. They've never played in the Football League, but Nuneaton have been a well-known non-league name for decades. Although they are a club whose identity has changed various times due to financial issues, they are still the most successful side. Their best ERA came in the 1990s and early 2000s, with strong performances in the Conference, now the National League. They've got a number of lower league titles, the biggest being the old Southern League, which was the old 6th tier. While they don't boast trophies at a professional level, no other Warwickshire club has consistently played at the same height in the pyramid. Leamington FC also deserve a shout, but Nuneaton's history just edges it. When it comes to the ceremonial county of West Midlands, there's one name that stands head and shoulders above the rest: Aston Villa. The county is packed full of big sides such as Wolverhampton Wanderers, West Bromwich Albion, Coventry City and Birmingham City. They have rich histories and great honours of their own, but Villa are comfortably the most successful club in the county and one of the most decorated in English football, full stop. They've won 7 top-flight league titles, 7 FA Cups, 5 League Cups and of course the European Cup in 1982, a crown jewel that neither of their local rivals can match. Add to that the European Super Cup, the UEFA Intertoto Cup, a Community Shield, 2 titles at Championship level and another at League One level. So unless someone's hiding a second European Cup in the boot room, this one's not up for debate. Aston Villa are kings of the West Midlands. When it comes to West Sussex, the pickings are slim. but the honour of the county's most successful football club has to go to Crawley Town. They're the only club from West Sussex to have made it into the Football League, which they did in 2011 after winning the Conference Premier, now National League. Since then, they've held their own in League Two for over a decade. Other notable achievements were the Southern League in 2004. Rivals like Worthing and Bognor Regis Town have their loyal followings, and Worthing in particular are making steady progress in non-league. But Crawley's Football League status, silverware at National League level, and higher league finishes comfortably put them top of the West Sussex pile for now. Sure, Leeds United have the biggest global profile and the most recent top-level success, with 3 top-flight titles, an FA Cup, a League Cup, 2 Community Shields, 2 Intercity Fairs Cup, a UEFA Intertoto Cup, as well as 5 Championship-level league titles. But then you've got Huddersfield Town, who were the first English club to win the top flight 3 seasons in a row in the 1920s. A remarkable achievement that still puts them in elite historical company. They've also got an FA Cup and a Community Shield, a Championship and League Two titles to their name, so it's very fair to say that Huddersfield run Leeds closer than most may think in the trophy department. And don't forget Bradford City, FA Cup winners in 1911, but yes, Leeds edge it in West Yorkshire. When it comes to Wiltshire, there's only one club truly in the frame, and that's Swindon Town. While Wiltshire doesn't have the same footballing depth as some of the larger counties, Swindon have certainly flown the flag proudly. They won the League Cup in 1969, their biggest moment in their history. It's worth noting that the League Cup win came in the same year they weren't allowed into the old First Division due to ground regulations, one of football's great what-ifs, although they did eventually make the Premier League in 1993. They've also picked up a title at League One level and 3 at what is now League Two, as well as an Anglo-Italian Cup and an EFL trophy. Next in line would probably be Chippenham Town, but the gulf is pretty big. In Wiltshire, it's the Robins all the way. When it comes to Worcestershire, it's hard to look beyond Kidderminster Harriers. They have played in the Football League briefly, and they've consistently been the county's standout side. Their biggest honour came when they won the conference on 2 occasions, what we now know as the National League. They've also got an FA trophy in the cabinet from 1987. Their local rivals like Worcester City have had their moments too, including a famous FA Cup win over Liverpool in 1959. But in terms of silverware and consistency, Kidderminster are Worcestershire's most decorated club. Thanks for watching Retro Football Club. If you enjoy look-backs through English football's forgotten corners, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a trip down memory lane. We'll see you next time.